Hello, friends. Dan Skelton here. It is my sincere desire to be able to encourage you and to strengthen your faith with the Word of God today. That's how it happens. You remember, I've told you from Romans 10:17, it says, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God. And also in Hebrews 11:6, without faith, it is impossible to please Him. For he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. So I pray that you will be encouraged today. I was thinking this morning as I was reading in Acts chapter 6 about a man named Stephen. He was chosen to be a deacon, and among all the many traits that he had, one really stuck out to me this morning. It was the one that said that he was full of faith. And what does it mean to be full of faith? So that's what I'm going to call this, full of faith. Now, as I began to ponder a man that might be filled with faith, what does that look like? There are so many examples in the Bible. Two of my favorite examples, maybe I've mentioned them before. One of them was Caleb. The other was David. Both of them were giant killers. I considered naming this giant killers also, but you'll get the idea. I don't know if you know of Caleb, but you can find him in the Old Testament in the book of Deuteronomy and Numbers, and you can see what he is known for. He was one of the 12 spies that were sent into the Promised Land to check it out. And they came back after 40 days, the 12 spies, and they gave a report. And you'll know that 10 of them came back and they came out with doubts and fears and unbelief, and it was very displeasing to God. Caleb and Joshua were two spies that said, hey, yeah, the walls are big around the cities. The giants that are living there, they're huge. We're like grasshoppers. But God's with us, and they had faith in God. And God was not pleased with the 10 spies. They spread fear throughout all of the camp, 2 million people, and that's what fear can do. That's probably why I want to do this. I need to strengthen your faith, not in yourself, but in God. He is able to do anything. Well, Caleb knew this in his heart. He came back with a good report. He said, let us go up at once, for we are well able to overcome it. And he also said, if the Lord delights in us, he will give us this land. Well, the people listened to the other 10 spies, and their punishment was to be out in the wilderness for 40 years, for every day that the spies went into the Promised Land. And God said every one of those men is going to die, and every one of that generation is going to die in the wilderness, because he's not going to take in people that don't believe in him. But he said, I'm going to take my servant Caleb in. He has a different spirit, and he has followed me fully. Him I'm going to bring into this land. 45 years later, you can read it in, I believe it's Numbers 14. Caleb comes to Joshua and says to him, hey, you know what Moses said. You know what God said. He said that I can take this land. Give me my mountain. And he went up into that mountain, and he chased out and killed all the giants of that land, and he obtained his inheritance. But he was a man that was full of faith. Now, that makes me think of David also, because he killed giants. He's from the same tribe, the tribe of Judah, and this is some centuries later, and you probably know the story that he challenged Goliath. Goliath came out every day to challenge all of the warriors for the nation of Israel, but he was a big man, 9.5 feet tall, and they were all filled with fear. Well, David comes along, and he sees and he hears this taunt of the Philistine And he said, I'll go fight that giant. You can read about it in 1 Samuel 17. He ends up taking 5 stones in his slingshot, and that giant just looked down at him with disdain, because really he's only a teenager. And he looks down at him with disdain, and he says, what am I, a dog, that you're going to come to me with a stick? And he threatened him, and he blasphemed the God of Israel. Well, David didn't like that very much. I love David's heart. He said, you come to me with a sword and a spear, but I come to you in the name of the God of Israel, the armies of Israel, and today I'm going to remove your head from your shoulders, and I'm going to feed your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. And you know what happened. God honored that faith. I don't know. David could have thrown that stone, and it can have gone the opposite direction, and it would have curved around and hit Goliath just where it was supposed to be. Because it wasn't David going in his strength, he had faith in God. He was a giant killer. Now, I know that we can be challenged. We're not going against giants every day, are we? Well, we have trials, tribulations, but God challenges us to believe him and trust in him. He wants us to be full of faith, not doubt and unbelief. I'm just going to leave you with one more verse. It's found in 2 Chronicles 16, verse 9. This is part of the verse a prophet is saying to the king Asa. The eyes of the Lord are looking to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong to those whose heart is loyal to him. And I want you to be thinking about that today, because I think his eyes were looking upon Caleb, and I think his eyes were looking to and fro and saw David, and I still think in 2020 his eyes are still looking to and fro, and he wants to show himself strong to the man or to the woman whose heart wholly trusts in him and is loyal to him. So let me encourage you with that today. Have a great day.